Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden on an overcast spring day, but you know what? It is nice and warm. The days of winter jackets might be over for good. I'd be so happy about it. It almost feels a little muggy, and I think the reason for it is that we are expecting rain, at least in the forecast, and I'm hoping for rain this afternoon, tomorrow eventually as well, because we haven't had a lot of rain this spring. It's been so dry, and you know, everything is mulched here. All my borders are mulched in, and whenever I check underneath the mulch, the soil is still nice and kind of moist-ish in a way, at least when you dig a little bit for a centimeter or two. But those areas where there's no mulch, our native soil is quite sandy, and those areas are so powdery, so it'd be so good and beneficial for nature. What you can tell is I'm taking you with me to the front garden today, which means there is a street just there, so every now and then there will be a car sound in the background. Sorry for that, but what you can see as well, spring is really on its way in the front garden. There are the first drifts of these really beautiful purple iris that I planted with you, and then blobs of white hyacinth everywhere, and we've got a lot of hyacinth here and also next to the main entrance of the house. So this entire area of the garden is filled with the sweetest perfume of hyacinth you could possibly imagine. I love that scent, so I'm very happy about this situation. What I want to do obviously is doing my last part of planting hardwoods in the garden, or shrubs basically. So I'm going to plant today, it is a shrub, it's like a semi-shrub, however you're going to call it, because it gets woody, and it gets really woody if your pruning regime is not good. So what I'm going to show you is kind of like, ooh, when your pruning regime is almost non-existing, they're looking so scruffy. And I looked at it and I thought, you know what, I think the best thing to do is get in there, remove those, replace them by new ones. So what I want to do is flip the phone and quickly show you the situation. So this is the main entrance to the house with my furious watchdog. She's so dangerous, right? You greet everybody, so happy for everybody who visits. No danger from your side. But all right, this is how we enter the front garden, and it is flanked on both sides by lavender, which is really beautiful in general, but lavender always has a tough time here. In theory, it should work because we have very sandy, poor soil, and this is exactly what lavender loves, but then maybe the climate zone is just a little bit tricky. Nevertheless, this area is one area of the garden where lavender thrives quite well. It would do a lot better if my pruning regime was there. So what I can do is give you a closer look at that. The ones on this side here, they look surprisingly better. I'm not even sure if I'm going to remove them or not. But what you can tell is fresh growth starts pretty much here, and everything from here down into the shrub is just dead brown wood material. So they're not looking so good. I need to see what I'm going to do. The ones on this side here, they look a lot worse actually. And what happened here is they have different height, because at one point I came in and made the flower bed a little bit bigger, and this is why those lavenders are on different heights. The ones in the front, they have a lot of dead branches even inside. They come back with fresh growth though, so I think that they might look somehow nice, but the biggest problem in this part is that there is a perennial wheatgrass in here. Maybe you can see it, all these like brown stems that are here. I tried to get it out, but it's so difficult, and it's kind of like bothering me for quite a while now. So I think the best thing to do really is to get in there with my garden fork, lift all of those lavender plants, really try and get out all the roots from this dang perennial grass, and then plant new. And what I can show you on this side here, this is the oldest lavender. So I think this is in here for at least 5-6 years, I would say. In this way you can see why it really is a shrub, because it is woody. It is really kind of like hardwood branches here. But this is all dead, all the way up until here. So basically there's hardly any goodness in those anymore, so I'm not going to miss them a lot at all. What I have is I have 12 new plants, drove to the garden center. And guess what comes now? So for those of you who already follow my video for quite a while, and when the big part of like what variety it is comes, I can show you a label, and it says Kwiat rabatowy, which basically just means border flower or plant. Well, yeah, that is what it is. It doesn't even say lavender. So I wish I could tell you what variety it is. I have no clue. All I can tell you is that I really love the growing habit of it already. It looks very vigorous, and I think that they will be very happy in this area. Also, take a look, I have 2 Japanese cherries. They have double flowers in pink, and they're just about to burst into bloom. I'm so excited about them. They're really beautiful. One is here, just really next to the driveway, and the other one is to the right of the swing bench. Not sure if you can see it, but at one point I'm really determined to give you a spring update tour of the garden, because all these shrubs here are just about to come to bloom, and this is always so pretty in the front garden when that happens. Not sure if you can see it, but little Missy is in my back, happy with her stick munching on it. So let's see when she's going to come and wants me to throw it for her. But before I get in there and start removing all of those old overgrown lavenders and finally also that dank perennial grass that decides to grow in there, I just would like to give you a few quick details about lavender, because I grew lavender already for quite some years in my garden, and I can just share some of the mistakes that I did with you, so to make sure that you avoid doing the exact same mistakes. So if you are gardening in a same or similar garden zone to where I am, which is zone 7B, I can tell you now is a good time of the year to go to the garden center and buy your lavender plants, because what I did in the past sometimes, I went in June and bought those plants that looked really lovely. They had a good strong top growth, they were in full bloom, put them in the ground, but when you plant them too late, the problem is that they don't have enough time to root in well, and then over winter they will fizzle out. This happened to me in the past, so do yourself a favor, go to the garden center now and buy your lavender when it doesn't look too exciting. But I think actually this is the most exciting size you can find, because they have a very nice compact growing habit now. A lot of old growth in here, so this is definitely from last year, and all new fresh shoots just appearing. One more thing that is quite important is you want to check, is it honestly just one simple plant in your container? Here it is, so I can tell there is just one stem where it is starting to branch out. Sometimes what the garden centers do, they put 2, 3 or even 4 tiny plants in a container next to another, and what seemingly feels like one plant, it is not. And that is what happened to me in the past. Is you have your drift of beautiful lavender, they look nice and green throughout biggest parts of the year, but at one point you have brown dots in there, and what happens is that one of those plants just started to fizzle out, and I think it had to do with too much competition in a small area. And when you pull it, suddenly in your lovely drift of lavender, which is a lovely cloud sometimes because you can prune it into really lovely cloud effect, you have brown patches in there. There was one area fully south-facing where I had lavender for quite some years. It looked very nice, but then the problem sometimes for lavender here especially is winter, because quite often we have weeks and weeks where the ground is frozen, and when the ground is frozen, the top part of the plant, which is evergreen, still loses moisture, and I should have probably wrapped it in a fleece, which I haven't. So those plants, after one harsh, very long winter, they were just all dead as a doornail. You're waiting here, aren't you? But where's your stick? Over there. Oh, bring me your stick if you want to play. So location for lavender is key. When you try and find a good location for lavender, just imagine where they originate. They are from a Mediterranean area, so they really love to bask in the sun. They love poor soil, and in theory those are things that I could kind of give them, but nevertheless they grow best in this part of the garden, which is sun-filled throughout the entire morning up until lunchtime, and then at one point in the afternoon there is no sun here at all. And I think that is the key on why they thrive so well here, because during winter time they can only lose so much moisture, and at one point there is no sun, so they don't lose as much moisture as those lavenders that I planted in the fullest sun. Another good factor here is, you know it, I've told you a couple of times, I have very poor soil here. It is very sandy. This is typical for the south coast of the Baltic Sea. Most of the areas you have just a sandy, well-drained soil. Perfect for lavender though. This is exactly what they want. They hate to sit in a puddle, and especially in winter. So if you are gardening in an even milder climate to where I am, but if you have heavy clay soil, improve your soil. Put tons and tons of sand in there, gravel, grit, whatever you can find, because in your area what kills lavender over winter is not the frost, it is the moisture, which they really do not appreciate. The last thing I want to tell you is that when you think of lavender, you might think always lavender flowers in blue, and this I hope it will, because the garden center mainly sells those that are blue, and since there's not really information about them, I was like, well, fingers crossed. Lavender does not only come in blue. You will also find specimens that flower in pink and in white. I had light pink as well. It was very, very beautiful, but that was even more tender to what the blue one was, at least in my experience. But just having that said, what I'm going to do now, very exciting, get in there, remove all of those old ones, try and see if I need to improve the soil with a little bit of a starting fertilizer, just the organic bone chips that I always use, try and space out the new plants and see if I have enough plants. I even want to remove those there and put new plants in there as well, so at least that this entrance to the front garden looks same and equal on both sides, which will be very beautiful. All right, lavender plants are in the ground. It looks so nice and neat now. And guess what? On the other side as well. So I managed to get both sides done. So happy about that. At one point I was running out of time a little bit because in 30 minutes from now we are expecting rain, and I'm super excited about that because I told you we haven't had a lot of rain yet, and I think the garden and the entire nature around it here really needs it. So just to sum things up quickly, what I did is I got in there and I removed all of the lavenders. I had a second where I just looked deep inside the plant and thought maybe it's worth it stripping everything back, but you know what, there was no sign of life coming from the roots at all anymore. So I thought straight onto the compost heap, don't even bother. And then I also removed some of the old soil, came in just with half a bag of fresh garden compost just to enrich the soil again, because the soil anyways is very sandy and well drained here. Just some hands of organic bone chips, dug it all under, put the plants in position, spaced them out quite nicely, and now mulched it. So I'm very happy with that. Obviously what I want to do is give you one last quick tour of it. Alfie's exhausted already. It's kind of muggy today. Maybe that's why she's so exhausted. I can also feel like, wow, it's nice and warm. I'm loving it today. Doesn't that look a lot nicer? Just when you think about how it looked just a couple of hours ago, now it really feels like nice and neat and ready for the season. Everything is almost at the same height, which I kind of appreciate, even though I know this is just how it's going to be this year. For those on the left side here, I didn't have enough plants. I definitely need like 2, 3, yeah, I think 3 more plants indefinite. But I can always go to the garden center because I had a couple of those left there. Here for the right side, I had more than enough. I spaced them out probably not good enough. I probably could have spaced them out even further, but in a way I would like if they throw together into one big cloud in here. I don't want to see them as like one separate plant. The thing what you could see as well is that the cherry tree always has hundreds of suckers down here. Don't really know why. I think it's just a very vigorous rootstock because it was planted level, but you can even tell where the graft is. It is such a distinct difference in between the bark here, and only this one has it. The cherry tree on the other side, just back there at the swing bench, does not have that problem, but it's such a quick job to be done. I do it like twice a year. It's maybe like 5 minutes, so chop chop done. That is easy. Really happy with the result. I think this is just super nice, and especially since there are lavenders on both sides of this entrance to the front garden, I think this just makes it look very welcoming. You guys, that is it for today's video, and that was the last part of introducing shrubs to the garden, even though here it was a replacement rather than introducing something, but something that definitely needed to be done. I think you can tell the difference is so big at this point. Nevertheless, there are going to be a lot more planting videos because in the meantime I received 2 big parcels full of perennials. I'm so excited about them. I already unboxed them and there are 8 different varieties in there. So I was thinking, how do I do that? Am I going to do 4 videos out of it where I always show you 2 specimens per video, or am I going to do longer videos and less videos? So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to have like more videos and shorter ones, or do you say up to you, you make it however you feel it, we're going to see it anyways? Nice thing about it is all those perennials are going to go to different areas of the garden, so there is something that thrives good in shade, something that really loves to bask in the sun, some which are very adaptable. So I think this might be quite intriguing and interesting for everybody of you. Can't wait to show you. Up until then, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I would love to welcome you in my garden very soon again. Take care, guys. Bye.